You're listening to our TALRadio, powered by Touch Life Foundation. I'm your host, Alie, and today I have the pleasure of speaking with the founder of the Hartford Rib Off, a barbecue festival in Hartford, Connecticut that is serving up delicious food and fundraising for amazing causes. To talk about some of those incredible organizations that have benefited from the Rib Off over the last 11 years, here's Guy talking about how he founded the Hartford Rib Off. Guy, it's such a pleasure to meet you and have you on today to discuss an event that I absolutely love. Can you tell us a little bit about the Hartford Rib Off and how it came to be?
Great. Thank you for having me, and love the support that you and your operation organization has offered us through the years. So thank you very much, and happy to be here again. At its core, the event is a barbecue-themed event, meaning it is driven with food and beverage. And it's designed to feel or make you feel to some degree like you're visiting a relative or a good friend at a nicely produced backyard barbecue. Now, we've gone and grown to the point where you may feel like it's closer to a festival than a backyard event at this point. But what we do is we put together a 2-day event. This year is going to happen on October 15th and 16th at Riverside Park in Hartford. And what we do is we sell a ticket for the main event. And that ticket comes with a lot of inclusivity. So the food is included and the beverages are included. Entertainment is included. There are vendors there. There are ways for you to buy and purchase and interact with things that could cost a few more dollars. But at the end of the day, if you spent no more money beyond your ticket, we hope that you come and have an amazing time and can barely walk to your car because you're so full and have spent a good part of a day hanging with friends and loved ones. And then what we do is we're a 501c3. So we take the money that we raise through ticket sales and sponsorship, and then we spread our love to different organizations every year. We have our house organization, which is the Hartford Rib Off Scholarship Fund. And we can talk about that in a little bit. And then we generally team up with 2 additional organizations every year. One is a Hartford-based organization, and then one is an organization that serves Hartford, but is a community-based organization that could serve a larger population in Hartford. And the proceeds from the event go towards something they need fulfilled. And we end up writing, to some organizations, what is like potentially the largest check they receive. And other organizations, just a supplemental check towards their curriculum or whatever their cause is. So we do a 2-day event that we work on all year. We service, 3,000 plus people in the course of the weekend. And then we've been giving away, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 a year at the end of this event to these organizations. And over the course of our event, which started in my backyard in Hartford, in the west end of Hartford, which you used to reside in, and we'll come back one day to visit. It started as just a backyard event, and then we ended up raising a couple of dollars during the second year of it, just asking people to help offset our costs for ribs and things like that. So then we donated that money, and we said, hey, let's do a big party every year, and whatever we raise, we give away. And that's kind of how it started and evolved, and then moved on to a different venue in Bloomfield, the Bloomfield Fish and Game Club, which was great. We were there for 5 years. Then we outgrew that. And then we wanted to come back to Hartford because we were at the Hartford Rib Off. And we did an event 1 year at the airport in Hartford. And then we moved to Riverside Park, which is a tremendous asset, underused asset in the city of Hartford by the Connecticut River. Beautiful, city-owned, open to the public park. We take over the whole establishment. We put big tents up and fences, and the vendors come in, and we just have a really fun day for the whole family. We have a kids zone, kids corner. There are adult games and adult fun to have. And, families can come in, feel very safe, bringing their children, and everybody sort of just loves. It's a big, happy, loving type of day. And that culture has started in my backyard, and we didn't lose that culture. And that's something very important for me to maintain through our growth moving forward into the future.
I asked Guy why the community aspect of having an event rather than a traditional fundraiser was so important.
That's the whole purpose. I think that in today's age, and one of the reasons that we've been driven to grow the event and continue producing it, there's a lot of people looking for funds to help support their cause. There's a lot of really amazing causes out there. And a lot of times people either write a check or make a donation or participate in a fundraiser. I believe personally that we can have fun, we can get together and also raise funds for good causes. So, it's fun, food, and fundraising is sort of our mantra. And then because Hartford, to a lot of people, has a bad stigma, and I'm a big fan of Hartford, I feel that we can not focus on the negative aspects of some lives or some aspects of living in Hartford, but we can focus on things that Hartford can do all year round, which has tremendous parks and resources, good people to work here, really beautiful architecture. So we can come and associate a fun day in Hartford by the community and the surrounding towns, right? And then instead of you just writing us a check, which you're welcome to do, and we appreciate those checks, and that's really how we are able to do the event at the price of the ticket that we offer. But beyond that, even if you just buy a ticket, a portion of that ticket, once we cover our cost, is definitely going to benefit these organizations. So, and then in addition to that, we like to bring artists in to sort of showcase their art organizations. They like to pass out pamphlets and information, and we give them a free booth. So we don't charge them for that. I just think that people come there with an open mind and an open heart, and they get exposed to different things that are taking place. For a few years, we had a chess club by a guy in the greater Hartford area that puts together a chess club for inner city kids. And they brought, and people can come and play chess, tap to our resources, to Hartford Athletic, the soccer team, or the Yard Goats, and introduced them to players and got them some merchandise and things like this. So all these little things are happening to elevate your experience through the event, but also expose you to organizations that I didn't even know existed prior to diving in and looking for people we benefit. So the community is a big part of us, and we all can do more for our community. That's the attempt, is just to try to do a little more.
Despite it being our state capital, Hartford has struggled for several years with more and more people and businesses moving into the suburbs. As a fourth-generation Hartford County resident, I've spent most of my life hearing about the heyday of Hartford, back when it was the insurance capital of the world, and subsequently living in the decline as the hidden gems of Hartford get lost to history. In a community that's struggling, events like the Riboff that bring people into the city from the surrounding towns is so important.
People telling us that, like, wow, I didn't even know this park existed, or, it was so easy to get to. It's right off the highway. Is it open to the public? Can we come here again? Because there's a playground there, and, there's a boat launch and things like this at the Connecticut River. So the reality is that not only are we doing good for different causes, we're also doing good for Hartford. And whether you want to agree with this or not, Hartford is our capital city, and it's important for us to maintain it. If Hartford falls, there's going to be a big problem in Connecticut. Hartford supports a lot of nonprofits and organizations. That's one of the reasons it's sometimes not doing as well as it could, just because the infrastructure doesn't pay a lot of taxes. There's 56% of the property in Hartford doesn't pay any taxes. They're all nonprofits. So the grand list really is much smaller than or potential for grand list is much smaller for other cities. So people don't know this, but look, Hartford has done a lot to improve its infrastructure. And downtown and the area by the river and stuff like this are really nice areas to come with your family. So the first year was in March, and it was in the backyard, and it was cold, and we were like, let's do this again, but it's got to be warmer. The second year, we ended up raising a couple extra dollars, and we gave the money to Organized Parents Make a Difference, an organization in Hartford that keeps kids in a controlled environment after school gets out. And then we did our third event, which is the first event we did at Bloomfield Fish and Game Club. We did that to benefit them. So for the next 5 years, we basically chose one organization and we just did a fundraiser for them. Then we became a nonprofit ourselves with a 501c3 designation. And now we basically raise funds for the Hartford Rib Off, which becomes like a feeder organization to other causes. So over the years, we've helped out, Heroes in Transition, which, helps match service dogs with vets suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, the Connecticut ALS Association. We benefited, even Mayor Mike's Foundation for Kids that does Little Leagues in Hartford, right? And now this year, we're very excited. So we've launched the Hartford Rib Off Scholarship Fund a few years ago. And then we look for a Hartford-based student, either they live in Hartford or they travel to Hartford for school, to help supplement the cost of education. But if you're a good student, you'll find financial aid, and then you'll find financial support to get you, room and board and education. Sometimes with grants and scholarships, you won't pay much. And there's a lot of students that really excel and do a lot in the community and benefit from those type of resources. But even those families have very little access to funds outside of that. So they're still in a disadvantage. They're still going to college, but their room is bare. Like, they don't have a refrigerator. They don't have brand new clothes to start the school year. They have to borrow and find ways to reduce the cost of books and things like this. So it's not an even playing field. So our scholarship is really designed to supplement that portion of a higher education to students that deserve it. I mean, they've gotten where they are. They're excelling in what they're doing. We have a whole process for it. It's a blind process. They submit applications. There are some scholars or people with pedigrees to review them on a blind basis, and they select a winner based on a points schedule that we created. And over the few years, I think we've given 5 or 6 of these scholarships to really amazing young students that are going to be ruling the world at some point. They're going to be working for them, or they're going to be creating policy, or whatever the circumstances are. And then this year, we're teaming up with an organization based in Hartford called Journey Home. And Journey Home is largely responsible for managing homelessness in the greater Hartford area. It's a pretty big job. So they know or monitor who's homeless, where they're staying. It could be like in parks and then by the river, and it could be in the forest and things like this. And then in addition to that, they also try to find housing for these individuals and get them off the streets. They're looking to get them secure with shelter prior to dealing with some of the issues that may have created the need for them to be homeless, or the outcome of them being homeless. So they're not treating, if they have substance abuse necessarily issues, they're really trying to get them to a position where they can focus on that. And when you're looking for shelter and food every day, you can't really deal with, those type of situations and those circumstances. They're really a dynamic organization. They started in the founder's garage and grew into something that is much bigger, and we can appreciate that as well. And then the next organization is the Hole in the Wall Gang Camp. And they are an amazing organization. They deal with children and families that have children that have, that are pretty sick. They're either terminally ill, or they have a disease of sorts that doesn't allow them to interact with the world like normal abled bodies do. So they've created this magical camp in Willington, Connecticut. Their founder was Paul Neumann, and he brought some pretty heavy-hitting friends to build this camp. And it's like a magical place where these children can go every summer and get the attention they need medically, or whatever support they need. And then they can play baseball in the field while the nurse is giving them an IV on the outside. So they have all the infrastructure there to really give them an elevated experience. But they've also grown, and now they do a lot of like home type services. They do a camp for the families. So they bring the whole family over, and then somebody's watching the child while mom and dad have their own or the parents have their own fun, or the siblings have their own fun. And the pandemic hit them hard. First, they had a huge fire earlier this year that took out one of their buildings. A lot of their existing sponsors helped come up with funds to build that. But then all the funds that they're normally receiving for programs and stuff like this are being allocated to building a building. So they're in a huge deficit. During the pandemic, they put together care packages for their campers. They sent them hygiene products and PPEs and things like this. They've done so much to just essentially make sure they're supporting this. And now they need our support to sort of continue doing what they're doing. And they've been around for a while, and we're really excited to have them. For me, children, strike a nerve. So anything related to children and people with disadvantages, with disabilities and stuff like this. We've worked a lot with Mark Community Resources over the years. Another organization we benefited. Another organization that takes people that have some significant, disabilities. They help them, find board. They help them find education. They help train them for, daily living, home shopping, or finding their way around a town and things like this. Just people are dedicated to doing good. And we're happy to have these organizations along for the ride this year. Some of them are large organizations, like ALS is a huge organization, right? It's a national organization. We don't like to just write checks to these organizations. We like to have a purpose for our money. And, while I know a portion of the money we give them can be used for whatever purposes they need, we try to come up with a purpose for each dollar that we give away. For ALS, as an example, we outfitted them with like 12 iPads that have very specialized software, so patients can borrow them and then communicate to their families. Their minds and brains are working well, but they can't speak, right? So families would tell us, like, the people that receive these iPads from us are like, we got our aunt back, and she's as funny as she's always been, right? And I remember the woman telling the story in front of like our whole group and our whole event. Everybody was in tears because, she was talking about having her aunt back 4 months. And here we just ate a bunch of ribs and beans and drank a bunch of beers. And we bought the iPads from those sources. And then she has her family member back. And from our community resources, It was helping them create a computer lab. So there's all of these things. And for Heroes in Transition, we were able to raise enough money, which is like about $15,000 each dog, to get a dog trained and paired with a vet that has post-traumatic stress disorder. So we'll do the same thing for these two organizations. We had a plan last year, but we got put on hold because of COVID, and we're ironing out the details. So we share that with our community. What are we giving them money for? For Mayor Mike's Foundation for Kids, we bought them all new equipment, because they get the hand-me-downs from the suburbs. And we were like, listen, that's not an even playing field. These kids deserve new gloves, new bats, new soccer cleats, and so on and so forth. So a big portion of the money we gave them, it was used to essentially buy equipment for the kids so they can play on an even playing field, right? And that means a lot to me, because we believe in micro, not macro changes. Micro changes to change the world, right? You take a kid that has nothing and you give them something, that kid now grows potentially with a bigger purpose than they had before. And you've changed the world around them. They're going to become better parents. They're going to become better students. They're going to become more, sensitive to their environment, and they're going to become better human beings. And as a result of that, we've changed their world, right? That world has changed. Maybe not the whole world. That particular individual, their world has changed. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to change the world on a small basis, person by person. And then as a result of that, it has a magnifying effect to change whole communities or whole families and so on and so forth.
That goes right to our Touch of Life ethos. I mean, Touch of Life, everybody can help someone, and those little acts of kindness have a huge ripple effect.
That's it. Take an opportunity to capitalize on being given an opportunity to touch a life, right? Like, don't walk away from those opportunities. If you're in a position and you can touch a life, it could be something really small. Taking a person that doesn't have a car to a supermarket to buy their food, right? Like, you take that for granted. You go with a car, you fill it up with groceries, but these people are riding buses. How many bags can you take? 2, 3? They got like half the order that they need. They got to make 2 runs. But you got an opportunity to take somebody that doesn't have a car to the supermarket and give them the time to buy what they want and stuff like that. You'll be amazed how you're changing their whole week. Like their whole month, you're affecting them. It's small little things that you could do and take advantage of doing to affect life, right? Touch a life. And I love that. So the food, we're lucky. We really are lucky. We have this amazing partner for making our food. They don't charge us for smoking this beef. Is Tino. They have a location in Middletown, which is Tino Smokehouse, or in Meriden, which is Tino Prime. And they have a facility that's big enough to be able to smoke all the meat basically in one shot, which is really impressive, because we're talking about thousands and thousands of pounds of meat. And then they bring some people to help us, and our volunteers basically platter it.
And this is part of their all-you-can-eat buffet. That includes sides like cornbread, coleslaw, macaroni and cheese, or macaroni salad, and more provided by donors and sponsors. Then there's the People's Choice Contest that features professional smokers sampling ribs, pulled pork, and more.
So a couple of times throughout our event, we urge people to go engage with our professional barbecue teams that are there. In conjunction with this event, there's a KCBS, which is Kansas City Barbecue Society sanctioned event, which is the NBA of barbecue people and smoking. And that's a whole world in and of itself that I got introduced to through doing this event. So we have a barbecue event taking place, and some of those teams have decided to engage in the People's Choice, and you get to go around and sample, 12, 15 different samples around our event, who has the best rib or the best pulled pork, and like bite size, and you get to vote for your favorite team. And then the team gets a cash prize and a trophy. So that's also included in the price. And then we have our beer sponsor, which we haven't announced just yet, but it's a really well-known name and a really desirable beverage. And that's served throughout the event for 3 or 4 different locations. You get to stand in line, a short line, a line that moves very, very quickly. We have professional people manning all these, booths and service stations. And you get to, fill up your cup, which we give you as many times as you'd like. And, sometimes when people say all you can eat, all you can drink, they're thinking like there's gonna be a bunch of sloppy people walking around. But no, people know they're in a fundraiser, right? There's families there. And we've never had an incident, knock on wood, which I'm knocking on right now, or anything remotely like that. Plus, we serve safe, meaning we make sure we're not serving people that can't handle the liquor anymore. And we have security there and people maintaining that. So the event is very safe, very secure. It's all in a fenced-in area. So you get all of that included in the price of admission. I mean, our tickets right now are $50. You can't go anywhere in this country, as far as I'm concerned, $50 and give you what I just told you, right? As the event progresses, the tickets are going to go up and they're going to pay about $70 at the door. And even at $70 at the door, considering everything I just told you in the last 15 minutes, it's still a tremendous value for your buck, a big bang for the buck. And we do good with the money, right? We have family packages where you can buy 2 tickets and have 2 kids under the age of 20 join you, right? And it's all in our website, which is hartfordriboff.com. All that information I'm giving you right now is at hartfordriboff.com. You can buy your tickets on there. You can also buy your tickets through our Facebook event and our Facebook page. But yeah, come support us. Buy your ticket in advance. Even if you don't end up coming, you've done something well with that money, right? It's going to be used properly.
That's the thing, too. If any of our listeners are interested in donating, supporting, even if they aren't in the local area, but you named some amazing charities that these funds are going to, they can buy a ticket and that money goes towards those causes.
No doubt. And we've had a lot of people do that, actually. Last year, our event was a bust because of COVID. A lot of people decided to just basically, we didn't sell a lot of tickets. We were just starting to really market it, but many people just basically said, keep the money. And then even though we didn't have the event, we still gave away 2 scholarships to local students. So we're still doing what we can to help our community. So yeah, definitely come support, buy your tickets in advance. That's helpful for us. Tell your friends, share some of our Facebook, Instagram communications. If you're coming or interested in coming, click on interested or coming on our event page. All those things really help the algorithm that drives our marketing. And then word of mouth, right? People like you that like our event and share that with their friends and family are a reason why we've come as far as we have.
If you're in New England, this event is worth the drive to visit. October 15th and 16th, Guy's giving you all the reasons to visit Hartford.
We don't try to nickel and dime you, right? So Parking is included. We have people helping you park. The facility itself is there. There's bathrooms, all of this stuff that required. I mean, we're nowhere near the Big E or like the Big E, but you get that same type of, without getting Big E, just you pay money to get in and everything else you spend money on, right? But we have the management, the operation, the production where, there are lines that move quickly. There's check-ins that are done professionally. There's all of these elements of the event that you would think there's a production company behind that, but we've done so many of these at this point that we've tweaked it over the years that I'm very proud of the event that we produce. The fact that we have all the supplies necessary and the PPEs are going to be needed this year, the service, the servings, it's going to be clean. Last year we even teamed up with an organization that does composting and proper disposal of debris. So our footprint was really small for an event like we've done. We basically recycled 95% of what we produced. And then whatever we didn't, all the food became compost and things like this. So through Blue Earth, which is a really nice organization based in Hartford, they come to your home and they help dispose of some of the debris that you create and then create topsoil with that and compost. But again, we're tapping into resources that exist and we're trying to manage the garbage that we create, right? And it's quite a bit of garbage over the course of a weekend.
Yeah, it's amazing how much stuff people can leave behind. But the fact that that's even something that you guys have thought of and you're working with an organization to, again, give back, even when it comes to that, I mean, kudos to you, really. It is an event to be proud of.
As I'm talking, I'm thinking about your question, which is tell me more about the event, the initial, how we started it. I want people to know that we have a tent. We had a couple of tents. This year, we're going to have one large, enormous tent. Like the tent itself is going to be like 25,000 square feet, just to put it in perspective, right? And in that tent, there's a stage. There's going to be entertainment by, an up-and-coming band or an established band. On Friday, it's Professors of Sweet Sweet Music. It's a local favorite. They're fantastic. They're out of Hartford. They've grown a lot. I mean, their music is incredible. They also do and produce another event in Hartford that happens a couple of weeks before our event, which is the Heartbeat Festival, where they bring a lot of local talents to Hartford. And you guys should check that out, the Heartbeat Festival, music festival. But there's music taking place, right? So all of that, again, is included in the price of admission. And then we don't even skimp out. We bring professional sound. We bring generators, and there's electricians on site to make sure that the power runs properly. So, I mean, it's a pretty big production. And then you're sitting in a tent or sitting outside on the lawn on hay bales and stuff like this, and you're enjoying music, you're eating amazing barbecue from Tino Smokehouse, which produces some of the best barbecue, if not the best barbecue in the state of Connecticut. And then you're walking around and meeting our vendors, meeting the nonprofits, meeting the barbecue teams, you're sampling people's choices, playing lawn games. So all of these things are happening. And then we give away $30,000, $40,000 at the end of that weekend. And we're changing lives. So, I mean, it just, it's a special time, and we really appreciate all of your support.
And that event is this year, October 15th and October 16th.
So it's different from previous years, which happens in June and Father's Day weekend. You still celebrate all the fathers out there, or mothers that are fathers, whoever you want to really celebrate. Come and celebrate on October 15th and 16th. The 15th is a kickoff party between 5:30 and 9. It is basically a beer festival. We'll have some vendors for food there. Ticket is like $20 to $30. You get all the beer. We'll have some other things there going on, some mixed drinks as well, and live music by Professors of Sweet Street Music. And then on Saturday, it's the Hartford Rib Off. It's going to be our 11th Hartford Rib Off. And then everything that we talked about is going to take place between 11:30 and 5 o'clock. And then they'll get the food and the drinks and access to all the entertainment, the kids zone, all of that stuff included with the price of admission. And the most you'll pay is at the door, which is $70. But right now you can buy tickets at $50. That will go on through, but take advantage, buy the ticket and come see us. Check us out and follow us on Facebook and Instagram, Hartford Rib Off. And then our website is hartfordriboff.com. Easy to find us. Come check out some amazing barbecue rigs, right? Because you got some teams that are competing from all over the area. They travel for hundreds of miles to get here. We're one of the only professional events in the area. We might be the only one this year. I'm not 100% sure of that yet. But the people that win our competition get to go to the Super Bowl of barbecue competitions, which is the Jacks in Kansas, right? Kansas City. But, I want to, if I could take another minute of your time, I'd like to say that it's important for people to know that, the face of the Hartford Rib Off and have started this, I'm not alone, right? I have a team of people that support me. Majority of this team that supports me are volunteers. We don't pay any salaries. We don't pay any rent. I have my own business. People sitting on our board don't get any compensation for doing it. Their efforts to secure sponsors, run logistics, manage volunteers, manage judges, teams, all of this stuff that takes place, logistics, they do on a volunteer basis. They do it without getting a thank you necessarily outside of right now. I'm thanking them from the bottom of my heart for their support. I'll thank them again throughout the year, but they do it on a volunteer basis. The people checking you in and have printed your tickets and are managing all of that stuff from t-shirts to everything else are all doing it on a volunteer basis. And they're doing it because we want to raise funds for good causes, right? They're not doing it to throw a big party. I like a big party. So we started it as just throwing a big party, right? But we do it to raise funds for good causes. And it's directly connected to how satisfied we are as the amount of money that we can give out, right? And then that's directly related to the experience that you have coming in and visiting in our event. It's all about elevating your experience, give you a big bang for the buck, right? So definitely remember those people if you come to see us. Anybody in the volunteer shirt is strictly volunteer. And we couldn't do it with all the support of those people. So thank you very much for all that.
Hats off to the volunteers working with Guy. This is one of the best run events I have ever attended, and it's a testament to the dedication of everyone involved to provide a happy, healthy space for people to come and enjoy while giving to a cause. We're wrapping up this interview on TALRadio, so if you would like to learn more about Hartford Rib Off, be sure to visit their website at hartfordriboff.com or follow them on Facebook and Instagram at Hartford Rib Off. We're closing our discussion with the founder of the Hartford Rib Off. Thank you so much, Guy. Any final thoughts you'd like to share with our listeners?
And, nothing warms my heart more than hearing people that share their experiences of visiting the event and enjoying themselves and feel like they're getting a good value for coming and attending. And I encourage you to learn more about the event if you haven't. If you're not familiar with it, there's a lot of media exposure for it, and it's linked on our website and things like this where you get to learn more about it. Obviously, you heard me talk and ramble here for about an hour about everything that we can do and are trying to do. And just do your best to support us. I mean, do your best to like us and follow us. And that's really the biggest thing you can do. And we certainly appreciate that. Check out the organizations we're benefiting, learn a little more about them. Journey Home and the Hole in the Wall Gang Camp, Hartford Rib Off Scholarship Fund.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you, listeners. The Hartford Rib Off is on Friday, October 15th and Saturday, October 16th. This is a Connecticut charity barbecue event that benefits nonprofit organizations and students in the Hartford area. To support the event or to learn more, visit their website at hartfordriboff.com.